Super thanks coming in from CJ DeYoung. Congrats on 200,000 subscribers. I was one of your first 100. Thank you. Thank you, CJ. Whether you're one of the first 100 or the last 100, we appreciate every single one of you who have subscribed, who helped me feed my family. We got Cowboys videos for you every single day. Even on holidays, we'll be here for the Thanksgiving watch party, which might be a disaster class game, but we'll be here. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/CowboysTV. Mighty Ants says, get Duke as our offensive line coach next season. Can it happen? This is about Duke Manyweather, who in many ways is kind of already secretly your offensive line coach still. He coaches Steele, Beebe, Guyton, Smith, Zach Martin, Brock Hoffman. I think he might have done some work with Off Richards, not totally sure there. Either way, he coaches all of them on the side in the offseason. Probably not an accident that Guyton got a little bit worse, then got better after the bye when he got to go hang out more with Duke Manyweather. Probably not an accident there. He doesn't want to be a full-time coach. That's not like it's less pay, more stress. Not fun for those guys. But keep sending all of the linemen you sign and draft to go work with him. So he can be your secret offensive line coach. And then replace Mike Solari because he sucks. Richard Robinson, not spending in free agent. Team obviously got worse. The stupid curtains issue, overpaying for Mingo, tours at the Star, bringing Zeke back versus Henry. List goes on and on. With all the issues and more, what legit head coach candidate would want to deal with this crap? It's a very valid question. And it makes things complicated for you. It's not a home run job that every NFL coaching candidate wants to take. The elements in favor is you have a bunch of good players still that haven't played as well as they need to. They've been successful in the past. Ownership is too willing to give you leeway and a long leash. You're not going to feel the need of getting fired after a year the way you might feel in other spots. You have a decent drafting team that has had some misses in the past 2 years that have really come back to bite you. You can have plenty of cap space in theory, but it's the extra stuff, the stuff that's not football related that will turn people off. Also, probably still a better job than the Jets job that's available, or the Saints job where those teams are not in a great spot long term. You're a better football roster than them, but it's the other stuff that you have to deal with as well. So in terms of the quality of the Cowboys job, if really when it comes open in 2025, what's your confidence level in it? Or how do you grade it? A, B, C, D, or F. Grade that Cowboys job once it comes open this offseason. It's the pinned comment on today's show. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Dwayne Jackson. Tom, who are the top free agents by position needs the Cowboys should be interested in, depending on Jerry Jones wants to spend money? We will do an entire video on that. We'll look at the top free agent targets. You'll look at defensive line, look at receiver, maybe some offensive line, running back you can look at. Safety you can look at there. We'll have an entire list for you and a lot more in-depth answer than the minute-ish soundbite we normally get to on a mailbag. So, Dwayne, stay tuned. We'll have the entire list for you. Unfortunately, my dream hire or addition of Aleem McNeil's off the board because the Lions re-signed him. Chris Haas, or Haas. Probably Haas, right? It's got to be Haas. Sorry, Chris. I mentioned before, when I look at what position groups need to be addressed this offseason, isn't it the exact same groups we needed last year? Maybe even a little bit more. Kind of, yeah. You're maybe a little bit less on the offensive line, but it's different offensive line with the right side being a pretty big question mark right now. Running back still stands out. Receiver still stands out. Defensive line is just as big a need, if not more so. You're probably still looking for one more linebacker. Safety kind of stands out more now maybe. Longer term, you could be in the market for a corner. Yeah, this is what happens when you don't add any talent in free agency. Everyone you signed was on a one-year deal, and you only build through the draft. It's impossible to only have success via the draft. You have to do other stuff too. Cowboys didn't, and they're still kind of feeling that on the roster. Tristan Mitchell, who is the top tanking target? The correct answer here is Travis Hunter. Now, there are other guys that are valid in general, but number one on the list should be Travis Hunter because he's the best player in this year's NFL draft. He is. Every time Travis Hunter steps out on the football field, he is the best player, whether he is on offense or defense. That hasn't been said since maybe Miles Jack a couple years ago. He had a degenerative knee issue. Did it with Champ Bailey a little bit. Like, that's kind of where you're at. So the answer is Hunter, but there are other guys that if you miss out on, you can still be happy with. So name a player who you want the Dallas Cowboys to draft this year. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Who do you want the Dallas Cowboys to draft? Gotham Guy. If by chance we hire Belichick, do you think that Jones will give him more control than previous coaches in draft selection? He's done a great job finding value late in the draft with the Patriots. Objectively speaking, Bill Belichick was not a good drafter. Now, that's not to say he didn't hit on some draft picks, but he wasn't a particularly great draft guy. Like, think about it. He found Ramondre Stevenson in round 4. Cam McGrone, Joshua Bledsoe, William Sherman, Trey Nixon, got Michael Onwenu, took a kicker in the 5th round, took 2 tight ends in the 3rd, took Cash Malua, Dustin Woodard, Jarrett Stidham, Ken Webster, Danny Etling, Ryan Izzo. There's actually some pretty bad picks over the course of his drafting career that's like, that wasn't very good. Duke Dawson in the 2nd round, Joe Juwan Williams, N'Keal Harry. Go look at that 2019 draft. That's not a good draft. Now, the Cowboys do give coaches control in the draft. They reach the consensus. They all have input. Bill will have input if he gets hired. I think if the Cowboys hire him, there will still be some semblance of control balancing between Will McClay and Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones and Bill Belichick. And the level of egos involved there is the biggest question mark on if it actually happens. Joe Jimenez, do you trust the Jones with the top 5 pick, or will they reach like they have the last couple of years with Mozzie and Guyton? I trust them a lot more drafting earlier because it's easier to do. It's a lot easier to take the guy that you know is a top 5 player on your board, and then they're first trying to figure out, okay, we're down to our pick 20, who's our 23rd best player on the board. The earlier in the draft you go, the less deviation there is in everyone's opinions because it's just easier to find the top end talent. Like, it's not as hard to go, yeah, that guy's a great football player. That point almost comes down to like, hey, do you trust the person and avoid a Justin Gilbert disaster? So I do trust them top 5. In general, I trust them with the draft, especially when they're not drafting for need. That's when they get themselves into trouble. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. It'll look like this. This was the group chat Monday Night Football slate. We'll find out later if that was dumb or smart for me to follow them. I blame putting the kicker in it. If we come up short, otherwise, look like a genius. It's fine. It is the only place that offers the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. That was the flex play was invented by Prize Picks. They also offer injury insurance. Player goes down in the first half, does not return. Your picks stay live. It's awesome. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play that first $5 lineup. It is guaranteed. You don't need to win to get the bonus. It's just got to play that first $5 lineup. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Matt J., what are your thoughts on Asim Richards' play? Overall, I thought he did a pretty good job. I thought he held up pretty well. The trickier matchup was Bryce Huff, but I thought he was solid. He didn't really get beat all that badly. The offensive line in general did look a little bit better because of the incredibly quick time to throw that you got from Trey Lance because he didn't want to push the ball downfield at all. But I thought he looked better than Terrence Steele, or at least like the same, and one guy you're paying way less, so it's more valuable there. I think I kind of want to try him at right tackle at some point and see if he can be a piece there or can be your swing tackle. From Cam, with nothing to lose, fire McCarthy, see what Harris is about. He has no experience, but I don't have any other coach I'm interested in seeing off this coaching staff. So I get the mindset. I do. This makes I understand where you're coming from. Couple things here. In general, I like Al Harris. I want to preface that. Why is it that the regression of the safeties and the play of Kalen Carson, Al Harris gets a free pass for, and yet we're all correctly mad at Mike Solari when the offensive line regresses? Like, doesn't Harris have some semblance of accountability for the cornerback room in general playing worse this year than it did under Joe Witt? I like Al Harris. I think the players like Al Harris from what they've said publicly. I like the energy he brings. I would not be mad if they kept Al Harris and the coaching staff this upcoming season. Like, next season, that's fine. I also want my next head coach to pick his staff. I don't want to keep doing this, hey, you get the job, but these 3 coaches you have to keep. I don't want to do that again. Like, I think that doesn't build the staff that you're trying to build properly. If you, like your young coaches, he and Lunda Wells stand out to me. I am in general pro Al Harris, but I do think that angle doesn't ever really get mentioned, and I kind of feel like it at least should a little bit. And this part too. I don't want to get the interim boost and accidentally win an extra game or 2. Nah, skip that. Let's just let McCarthy coach it out and have it all fall apart. Frank the Tank, why not hire Deion Sanders? Do you want a circus that is even bigger than what it is right now? Because that is how you get a circus. I think Deion has done a really good job this year with Colorado. I think he can clearly get talent into a program that no one really cared about beforehand. That's awesome. He's got an outside chance to make the CFP. I'm excited for him. He has said he does not want to be an NFL head coach. I don't blame him. The stuff that he does well and works for him at Colorado does not translate to the NFL. He is the advantage. Like, go to the CFP archetypes, right? What is he? He's a recruiter. And he's not a tactician. He's not a motivator. He's a recruiter, although he does do motivation stuff fine. But that's like that's his core. You can't do that in the NFL. He has said he does not want it. It would be a disaster. We're mad about Jerry getting mad at the media. Deion's going to be even more mad. It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. Who do you want as the next Cowboys head coach? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Who do you want as the next Cowboys head man? Dwayne Jackson. Tom, do you trust the Jones boys to manage the cap correctly? No, because they haven't done it right yet. Despite showcasing that they know how to. They know how to adjust the roster and do contracts properly. But no, I don't trust them to do so. I don't trust them to not screw something up and pay a guy coming off an injury or use a contract as an excuse to not spend money. I don't trust them to manage it correctly, and I don't think many of you do in the comments either.